on that note, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. What's up, friends? Get out of there. Get out of there. Here we go. Thanks for coming. This is going to be your Sunday public Q&A and build planning stream. In 1 hour from now, I'm going to chop this stream, and a Patreon stream is going to get started where we all hang out in Velocidrone and do some lead follow practice. If you want to see what that looks like, go back a week to last Sunday. It's way more fun than you'd think, and I would love you to join me and the rest of us. In order to do so, you're going to have to jump onto my Patreon. It's going to cost you $3 whole a month. I know you can do it. That's 10 cents a day. I stream every single day for my patrons. They get 2 to 3 hours of me, and then usually I do like a half an hour to an hour of a public stream. Sometimes that public stream is just me hanging out on the couch playing Gran Turismo Sport or SnowRunner or Minecraft or something silly like that. The Patreon folks get specific FPV-based content. CiottiFPV.com has a million ways you can support me. This is my full-time job. I need everybody's help in order to keep going with this little journey here. If you want to join me, CiottiFPV.com has a million ways you can do it. Patreon link, Teespring link for some cool t-shirts and mugs and sweatshirts. Fiverr link, let me work for you. Let me help you tune better. Let me help you fly better. I'm doing instructional coaching sessions through the simulator. The folks that I've been working with have noticeably improved. The second session or the third session that I do with them, it's like seeing a whole different pilot. It's absolutely crazy. It's not absolutely crazy. Flight instruction and just instruction and coaching in general is hugely beneficial. Like, you're your own worst critic, but you're also looking at things through the same set of eyes. So having a coach help you through things, especially a coach that's been doing something for 4+ years and really focused on it, is going to help you out a ton. And a whole bunch of affiliate links. If you find yourself doing an order on Amazon for anything, you don't have to get anything specific on these places. If you're just doing an order on Amazon, God's website, FPV Crate, Get FPV, FPV Cycle, and a bunch of others, if you hit my affiliate links before you complete your order, I will get between 1% and 6% of that order for free. You can still use coupon codes. You can still get free shipping, all that good stuff. They just show their appreciation to me for sending you over to them with a small commission. So there you go. Turbo Shill out of the way. In the chat, Bob Noxious, Hawk FPV, Richard Rixapator, Dauntless, Dog Life, Pile of Carbon, Frank Nicholas, Arctic Ice Quad, Gary Higgins, Huckleberry FPV, T-Bird FPV, Chibi, Christian Vloet, License to Drive, Drone Goats, Guillermo, Huckleberry, and Kathy McKibben. If you want to hear your name read by a lanky, gangly guy with big teeth, got to get in early. If you'd like to talk directly to me, all you've got to do is type my name. Just like in the real world, when you start talking to another person, you say, "Hey, Jimbo," and then you speak. Same kind of deal. Type my name, spell it correctly, and it'll light up in orange like this, and then I'll know you're talking to me. If you don't do that, I'll assume that you're talking to other people in the chat, and I'll pretty much ignore you. Gary Higgins says, "What's up, new patron? Not much, but love the content." Much appreciated, Gary. Welcome to the collective. Huckleberry saying hello. T-Bird. Frank Nicholas dropping the CiottiFPV.com link. Thank you, Frank. Drone Coach saying hello. Rob Axelson saying, did you ever check out the Rotor Ride Sim? I did. Flappy Birds for the win. FPV Trucker says, "What's up from the Texas Panhandle?" Guillermo says, "I'm leaving for 2 months to the jungle." Oh my God, for the shoot. Don't know if I'm going to have internet. I'm going to miss you. Dude, that's going to be amazing, Tiago. Very cool. Or Guillermo, rather. Very, very cool. Tiago is here in the chat. I was looking at his name just a second ago. FPV Trucker says, "What's up?" Wait, no, we got that. YouTube did the thing, so now I'm all screwed up. There we go. Dragon Ring saying, "What's up?" Frank Nicholas dropping the link again. Drone Goat saying, I've done all whoops from 65, 75, 85, 95, but I don't want to go for a toothpick. I know you're rocking hard on 3-inch. What would you suggest as a build? I'm analog, by the way. I mean, to really recommend a build, I'm gonna have to need to know a lot more, Drone Goats. Like what you build should be, in my opinion, mainly based upon what you want to do with the footage and where you have to fly. Like, if you have huge spots to fly that you would like to fly at, build a 5-inch rig. If you need HD footage that looks really good, build a 5-inch rig. If you have smaller spots, build a 3-inch rig. If you need HD footage, you can still build a 3-inch rig. The Insta360 Go 2 and the RunCam Hybrid give you damn good footage. I'm going to drop a quick link to give you an example of that. I have an edit called 4-inch motion here on my channel that I'm going to link you to in 1 second. And that's what you can expect out of a RunCam Hybrid. It is staggeringly good. It's not as good as a GoPro, but it's pretty damn good. And I'm just finding the link for you. Here it is. And we want to get shareable link. There you go. There's a link to what you can do with a micro, with a RunCam Hybrid on board. It's pretty good. That's going to be good for smaller spots. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. Like, where you fly should drive the propeller size and the all-up weight, basically. And then what you need to do with the footage, or if you don't need to do anything with the footage, should drive your camera platform. And that's kind of it, to be honest. I mean, those are really the only two things that should factor into what you build next, because, you know, right tool for the right job and all. The job is the location that you fly and the footage. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. The hype train is very, very strong in FPV, and the hype train tends to make you want to build a 2-inch, a 2.5-inch, a 3-inch, a 4-inch, a 5-inch, a 6-inch, a 7-inch, a 10-inch, an 8-motor rig, an octo rig. But most people that I talk to, once they've done that, there's nothing to do with those rigs. Like, they fly them like a half a dozen times, and it's like, oh, that was fun and expensive. And then they put them up on the wall, and that's sort of that. I'm on a pretty tight budget within this hobby, so for me, I can't afford to just throw money at like a build that I fly, you know, 4 or 5 or 6 times. I want to throw money at builds that are going to get work done and that are going to fly really good in like the spots that I commonly find myself. So yeah, that's my opinion on how to sort of choose what your next build is going to be. YouTube just did the thing. Pile of Carbon says, wearing that exact shirt right now, thought it looked familiar. Oh god, I had this shirt on the stream the other day. I meant to change my shirt. This is my exercise shirt this morning. Double A is in here. Athix saying hey. Scott Gillen saying what's up. Rick Zapata saying, I want to build a sub 250 5-inch to fly on 3S and 4S. What size motors and KV do I need? Rick, do I dare ask you why you want to build that? In response to the conversation that we just sort of had. That being said, sub 250 with 5-inch propellers, it's really going to depend on if you want bi-blade or tri-blade 5-inch propellers. If you're going to go bi-blade 5-inch propellers, yeah, if you're going to go bi-blade low pitch 5-inch, you can get away with a 2004. If you're going to go tri-blade 5-inch, you're going to want to bump up to like a 2204. So yeah, that's pretty much that. I ask why you want to build that because, in my opinion, there's not really a good home for that sort of a build. Sub 250 on a prop that big is gonna fly like a toothpick, and it's gonna get kicked around by the wind. In my opinion, it makes much more sense if you're gonna be sub 250 to build a 4-inch rig. It's gonna have much better flight characteristics. A 5-inch sub 250 is more like a long-range rig. So if you're building it to fly long-range, Rick, awesome, that's perfect. But for freestyle, yeah, 4-inch is going to be a much more realistic and a much closer analog to the way that a proper 5-inch rig feels. That's sort of always, that's the other thing that factors into what I build and how I build it, is I try to have, so muscle memory is really a big part of improving as a pilot. One of the worst things that you can do in terms of improving as a pilot is to have a million different rigs with all different propeller sizes and all different all-up weights that you haven't really like thought through. My goal is to build all of my rigs so that they fly as close as possible to a 600 gram 5-inch rig, because a 600 gram 5-inch rig is the absolute best flying thing that I have ever experienced in this hobby. And I like my rigs to fly really good, so I try to get them all to fly like the best flying rig that I've ever flown. So yeah, that's my sort of take on it. Also, if I can get all of my rigs to fly somewhat close to the performance of this, I'll be able to, it'll be a lot easier for me to get better as a pilot, because every time that I fly a different rig, I won't have to completely relearn the muscle memory required on the throttle and the pitch and for off-throttle throws over objects and stuff like that. So yeah, a big part of my growth as a pilot over the last 4 years has been trying to accomplish that. And also a big roadblock for me as a pilot over the years has been the time that I've wasted flying rigs that don't perform like this, and having to break the muscle memory that I build up with this guy and relearn some other quad. I can very specifically see my flying become shitty when I'm doing a lot of testing, and when I'm flying tiny whoops and 2-inch rigs and 3-inch rigs and cine whoops and all this stuff. When I actually just go out for a couple sessions in a row and fly the same thing over and over and over again, I look like a different pilot after like 3 or 4 sessions, because I'm actually able to lock my muscle memory in, and when I go to 26% throttle, this rig and the clones of this rig up here are going to do the exact same thing. When I go full throttle for 0.5 of a second and then throw this thing inverted up over a tree, this is going to travel the same exact distance as all of those clones of it. But this little guy is going to travel a completely different distance. So if I fly a few batteries on this, my brain goes, oh, okay, we're flying this little guy. It's going to travel 72 feet over this tree, and you're going to clear the back of it, and you're going to be totally fine. And then I fly this thing, and I do the same maneuver, and it puts me 700 feet past the tree, and the footage looks like ass, because I didn't do that nice little, dive down the rear of the object. So, yeah. That's there's sort of my philosophy of building different rigs in a nutshell. When you guys look at my builds, I talk a lot about this. This is a 3-inch freestyle build that is as close as I've ever been able to get to the flight experience of this. It is still definitely different, because this weighs 210 grams all up, and this weighs 600 grams all up. But in as many ways as possible, this mimics this flight performance. Raw, all-up weight and momentum and the ability to push air is never going to quite be the same between these two. But this 210 all-up weight is very specific to this propeller size, and when I fly this in a smaller location, it feels and throws in the way that this feels and throws in a bigger location. That's really what I try to do, so that, because this has no business being in a big spot. It just doesn't make sense. It's the wrong tool for the job. But when I fly a little spot and it's got a smaller tree, I can throw this up over the tree in that smaller location and have some semblance of accuracy and a similarity to this guy being thrown up over a big-ass tree at a big location. So there you go. There's some tech for you that you didn't even ask for. YouTube did the thing. Chibi says, do you know what's up with GemFan prop pitches? The 5143 I always thought was 4.3 pitch, but the GemFan website says the 5143 pitch is just 3.5. Why name them 5143-3 then? Where are you seeing that on the GemFan website? It certainly performs like a 43 pitch. That's for certain. Product, multi-rotor propeller. Let's go to 5-inch. And 5143-3. Pitch, 3.5 inch. My guess would be that that's a typo. What other Do they have a propeller that's 3.5 pitch? The floppy proppy. Yeah, my guess is that that's a typo, because here's a 5135, and they're, you know what I mean. So yeah, my guess is that that's a typo. It does not fly like a 35 pitch at all. So I can all but guarantee that it's not a 35 pitch. Interesting. Good spot, Chibi. Drone Goat says, thanks a lot. You're certainly welcome. Rob Axelson says, can't get on your site for some reason. Can somebody drop the Linktree link for me, if you don't mind? FPV-ish says, help trying to figure out why, thank you, why I have so much drift in zero wind. Older 5-inch, I've been through I-term range top to bottom, no luck. What should I look for next? Maybe new motors. Oh, that's awesome. New motors definitely won't have any effect, so definitely don't do that. I mean, to really troubleshoot that, I'm going to need more info. Drift can mean a lot of things. Some people will consider drift like accelerometer drift, like they'll take off in angle mode or in horizon mode, and it'll start drifting. So that the word drift that describes that to some people. Other people will take off in acro mode, and it'll start kind of moving, which is totally normal. The actual, if it's, so those are totally normal and you can't really fix those issues. The issue that you can fix with drift is if you're tracking in a straight line and it just randomly starts to, well, yeah, drift is a really tough word. Drift is a word that doesn't really, like drift could also mean that when you're in the corners you find that it's sliding out too much. So yeah, drift is a tough word for me to try to troubleshoot FPV, because it could just mean a million things. So tell me more about like specifically what it's doing, and then I can maybe try to troubleshoot it with you. Mr. Huggy says a 5-inch sub 250 is akin to a medium weight 7-inch. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And 7-inch rigs are really only useful for long range stuff. So yeah, 5-inch sub 50 is a really good option for long range. But yeah, I'm not a long range person. And I don't think you should be either. That's not true. That's not true. You guys should do whatever the hell you want. But I don't really know anything about long range to be able to make any actually actual good recommendations. Rob Axelson says, if you can't tell the difference with 4S scaled down motors compared to 6S, what is the benefit? More power if you need it? Absolutely, Rob. The ability to raise or lower the total amount of power that you have on a quad is a really big deal. If you go fly like a really big location, being able to turn the power up is amazing. If a new propeller comes out that's really low pitch and you fly it and it doesn't make enough power, you can turn the RPMs up basically with the motor limiting and make more power with that low pitch prop to see if you then like it at a higher RPM. Also, if you go out and fly, 2/3 of people are still on 4S. So if you go out and fly with somebody and you forget to charge all your batteries and they fly 4S, you can use their batteries. There's an unbelievable number of benefits to flying a 5S or a 6S KV motor scaled down for 6S. Once you get out in the world, like once you've done that and you've built a couple rigs that are like that, and you remember, see, that's the big thing for me. It took me like months and months and months to remember that I had that option, because for the previous like 4 years, I'd never had the option to just turn the power up on a rig without physically changing motors or buying new batteries, or, well, I guess that's really it. Oh no, or putting on higher pitch props. So yeah, like once it locks into your brain that like, oh shit, right, I can turn the power up or down, it opens up some really interesting options. Around Christmas time, when I was flying a spot with Joshua Bardwell down here in Atlanta, I realized that like coming down to the bottom of dives, it was a big spot and I just didn't quite have enough, as much power as I wanted. And that was one of the first times that I was like, oh, right. And I just, like in the middle of the battery, I just landed, OSD, miscellaneous PP, scroll down, 75% throttle limit, boop, 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 80% back up in the air. And then the rig just felt right to the size of this location that I was flying. That was next to like a 6-story parking garage, and I was doing a lot of like really gnarly stuff. So yeah, it's a 2-part thing. You got to first do it, and then you got to remember that you did it, and remember that it's an option, because up until this point, it hasn't been an option. Carbon Cage, 3 a.m. here, just woke up to the sound of your beautiful voice. Hope all is well. Big, and that better be big cage. Little cage, if you're up at 3 a.m., I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you know what I'm thinking. Michael Blade says Happy Easter. Oh yeah, Happy Easter to anybody who's religious. Chibi says, look at the 5147 ones too. It says 3.6. Yeah, the 5147s are definitely not 3.6. Weird. Very weird. Remy Tim says, hey everyone, make sure to give a thumbs up. Thank you, brother. Mr. Huggy says, the problem with CiottiFPV.com is that the site certificate is either out of date or needs changing, so web browsers are displaying an alert. It says it's a possible threat. Yeah, Mr. Huggy, I don't know how to do websites, so I don't know how to fix that. Yeah, somebody will drop... There's the Linktree link. Linktree/Ciotti. There you go. And that'll work just fine. Dauntless says, more power for bigger locations. What happens to the PID tune? The PID tune scales up along with the motor limiting. Basically, Dauntless, the way that motor limiting works is that it moves everything up and down. So it basically acts as if you are increasing or decreasing the kV of the motor. So as you increase the motor limit, it technically increases the kV of the... Not technically. It sort of increases the kV of the motors, so the PIDs are going to have more authority. So you got to be careful. I don't usually recommend that you guys move the motor limiting up and down more than like 5 or so percent without then looking at the tune. Really, the process that you want to go through is you put your... So you either put higher kV motors on, or you go from 6S to from 4S to 6S batteries, right? And now you need to use the motor limiting. You go out on a stock tune, you bring the motor limiting down to a number that makes sense, and then you fly it. And you spend like 1 or 2 batteries just figuring out, is it too much power? Is it just enough power? Is it too little power? And you basically just spend a couple batteries dialing in your motor limit, and getting that set. And then you either leave your PID tune alone because it's fine, or you then tune your rig. You should never be tuning to the absolute like bitter edge. That's just too unsafe, and there's just absolutely no performance benefit to doing that nowadays. I mean, that's not totally true. There is a tiny little performance benefit, but you're not going to see it in the real world. So then you lock your tune in, and your tune is going to have a little bit of leeway so that when you go up and down on the motor limiting, you're within that range of adjustability, and yeah, totally fine. But if you increase your motor limiting by like 10 or 15%, you're probably going to have to pull your PIDs down. Or maybe not, to be honest. RPM filtering is so good that you'll actually probably be totally fine, which is just an example of how unbelievable Betaflight is. Frank Nicholas says, happy spring holiday. Yeah, right. FPV-ish says, continue taking off in self-leveling mode. It sometimes drifts to the left, sometimes to the right, sometimes backwards. Yeah, when flying same drifts. Okay. So, yeah, there's no way to fix that, FPV. Self-leveling mode doesn't work well. It's just these rigs were really not meant to be flown in that mode. These rigs are meant to be flown in acro mode. They're just not meant to hover. You can't make a rig properly hover unless it has GPS built in. Everything vibrates on these rigs, and then that makes the accelerometer go apeshit, and the gyro go apeshit. So there's just absolutely no way to get it to hover. It's just not something that we do in the hobby because of it. They're just, the way that these things are built, they're just not meant for that. So your best bet is just gonna be to like stop. Like, here's the thing: you can piss away a lot of time screwing around with that to try to get it to hover perfectly, and it's never gonna really get all that good. Like it's yeah, our rigs just don't do that well. So just fly, just put the nose down and fly forward all the time, and you'll never know that it doesn't it doesn't hover properly. If you need something that's going to hover properly, you're going to get a Mavic or a Phantom or something with GPS. It's just sort of nature of the beast. And look at that, we're caught up on chat. So, since we're caught up on chat, we're going to talk, everything goes apeshit. We're flying apeshit. We're going to talk about the next build that you guys are going to see here. Probably starting tomorrow, maybe? Well, no, tomorrow's Micro Monday. Do I have a micro build that I can get started on? Maybe I'll fix the Acrobrat tomorrow for Micro Monday. What? What? Today at 4:30. Oh, right. Right, okay. Not gonna make it to that. That's okay. So yeah, tomorrow for Micro Monday, I think what we'll do is repair the Acrobrat. I gotta do a base plate swap on that. I can probably knock that out within our typical 2 to 3 hours that I stream. Tuesday. So I'm taking a little bit of a pause from the 4-inch build that we've been working on, because I gotta wait for the motors to get here. I don't think the motors will be here by Tuesday, so yeah, I think we can dive into a 5-inch build. This build is gonna be the giveaway now that we. What I'd previously said is if we got to 200 patrons before the end of March. The Moon Goat was going to be at 200 patrons, I have a goal, and the goal says as soon as we hit 200 patrons, whenever I see that we're at 200, we do a giveaway, and the giveaway is for a full build and the shirt off my back, the literal shirt off my back. So yeah, we're almost there. We're at like 192, I think, patrons. So I gotta get the goddamn build ready because it's looking like we're gonna hit 200 maybe like this coming week. Maybe right now if like 8 of you people want to go over there and join the collective, because there's all kinds of good reasons to. Speaking of, yeah, so joining the Patreon page, you're gonna get audio versions of all of these streams, which you can listen to as an RSS like through podcast software and whatnot. You're going to get daily 2 to 3 hour live streams. You're going to get a whole bunch of really good articles over on the Patreon page about filter tuning, PID tuning, like a simplification of it so that you can actually do it, because it's so goddamn overwhelming, but it really doesn't need to be. Motor heat, how to troubleshoot motor heat and oscillations, all kinds of really good tech stuff. And then you're also going to get added to the Patreon page. Every single time I live stream, you're going to get an email from Patreon. You're going to get a Discord notification, and you're going to get a Facebook notification, because I have a secret group over on Facebook as well. And there's probably some other good stuff that I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, I post up there when I find some good stuff in a clearance section, not just the junk that they're, getting rid of. But when I find good stuff in the clearance section, I'll throw a post up over on Patreon to kind of guide you guys over there. And this month, April, I will be turning 40 years old. And the bi-weekly giveaways that we do through Patreon this month are all going to be full builds. Like entire built rigs. Like a whole quad. The 5-inch tier, I don't know if that's going to... So I still have to figure out what I'm doing about this. Huge shout out to FPV Exchange. If you're not on FPV Exchange, I'm gonna kill you with a shovel. Nevin from FPV Exchange sent over 3 full premium builds. 2 Apexes with Acon ESC's Acon F7 flight controller and T-Motor F40 Pro 4s. So like all the best gear. No receiver and no camera because we have no idea if you're on DJI, if you're on analog, if you're on Crossfire, if you're on FrSky, if you're on smoke signals. So yeah, get your asses over to FPV Exchange, because a part of winning these expensive ass rigs is going to be you taking a screenshot of the fact that you've imported previous purchases to FPV Exchange and have clicked the button to put something for sale. This is not coming from Nevin. This is me doing this because I really believe in the website. And yeah, I just want to encourage you guys to use it because it's pretty awesome. You, with like a couple clicks, you can import every single thing you've ever purchased from RDQ, Pyrodrone, GetFPV, all the big shops. They automatically get imported into your FPV Exchange profile. And then if you decide that you want to sell this set of motors that's just been sitting on your desk for the last 2 months, you just type the name of that set of motors into the search, you find them, and you just click a switch, and they're magically for sale from you. And then anytime anybody goes on FPV Exchange to search for those motors, because one of the other things you can do with FPV Exchange is price shop. Because when you search for that set of motors, it shows you every single place that sells those motors and how much they're selling them for. Well, since you've chosen to sell those motors, you're going to be on the top of the list. Can't really get that anywhere. You don't have to deal with idiots on Facebook Marketplace lowballing you. You don't have to take pictures of the stuff. You don't have to type a description. You're just there and you're ready to go. So yeah, lots of really good reasons to join Patreon like right now. 3 of them are right here. These are like, I mean, dude, the Apex frame is $100. These motors are $25 each. This ESC is like $60 or $70. This flight controller is like another $40. And there's a whole bunch of them. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Like, if you don't go over there right now, you're only hurting yourself. Also, FPV Exchange is made by a really awesome guy, Nevin, who is a doctor and saves lives all day, and yeah, is around people with COVID all day, every day, and has kids. So I kind of can't think of a better person to support. And yeah, the website is based on such a really cool idea, right? Like, let's take the gear that we're not using at this moment, get some bucks for it, and then piss that away on new hype trainy gear. Or just, you know, trade between each other. Frank Nicholas says, my DJI Mavic Pro, Mavic Zoom 2, DJI Phantom all hover just fine, inside without GPS. I have videos, indoor events with 0 satellites. It's all about the software. Oh, okay. So, I guess with enough, I guess, yeah. Cool, I did not know that. Pile of Carbon says, got a quad that has some crazy noise issues, diagonal lines across the screen that gets worse with increased throttle. Appeared after a crash, swap motors, same issue, any ideas? Pile of Carbon, I've got a couple of articles over on the, I think you're on my Patreon, right? Over on the Patreon page, if you, at the top of the page, if you click Tech Talk, I've got a couple articles that I've written about how to troubleshoot video noise with a step-by-step process. It's typically not just like one thing. You usually have to go through a bunch of things before you find it. But yeah, check that out. And if you have any, if you get through all those things and it's still not fixed, shoot me a message over there and we'll work through it one-on-one. Halfboard says, welcome to the 40 plus club. It's not so bad over here. Double A says 40 and no gray hair. Spectacular. I have a couple. Here. I just noticed 2 big ass ones dead center in the mustache. And then there's actually a couple over here, but I mean, yeah, not bad at all. I'm very, very lucky. My father didn't go gray until like really, really, really late in life. So I should be good for maybe another 10 years. Who knows? That was the sound of these batteries going off, and I am trying to fly after this. So hold on one second. Here's the rest of that battery that I was just flying. such ass. I can't really see where the hell I'm going. If you'd like to fly exactly like that, head on over to CiottiFPV.com and hit the Fiverr button. I am doing flight instruction and coaching. I can help you out with that. I've been at it for a little over 4 years. Word FPV says, I was a big fan of the V1 Insta360 Go. You and me both, brother. And let me tell you that the V2, get that V2 as soon as possible. I think you're going to love it. Best wishes, my dude. Oh, and I love FPV Exchange. Very cool. Word FPV knows what's up. Look at that. We're pretty close. We're pretty close to ordering up an Insta360 Go 2. If you want to donate to this so that you see some content surrounding the Insta360 Go 2, either go to CiottiFPV.com, scroll to the bottom, there's a PayPal button. PayPal doesn't take any percentage, or you can do a super chat here. YouTube takes 30% of the super chats here. Make sure you call it out though. If you do a super chat or if you send it to me send me a couple bucks via PayPal, just say, hey, this is for the Insta360 Go 2 fund. When super chats or PayPals come in without any description like that, I just assume it's because you guys want me to live and be able to eat and get health insurance and get a car and all that fun stuff. So there you go. Pile of Carbon says, smoke signals have too much latency. I fly Morse code. I'm not, but will be in 5 minutes. Thanks, man. Very cool, Pile of Carbon. Much appreciated, man. Soon to be welcome to the collective. Word FPV says, it's cool that I use my personal email on FPV Exchange and not my Word FPV. Or do I need to switch that? You're fine, Word. Yeah, it's to get in on those. One of the things I haven't totally figured out. I haven't told next Monday. That's when the next set of giveaways is. But one of the requirements to winning one of those really, I mean, dude, like that's $1,000+ in rigs that Nevin just sent me for these giveaways, right? Like that's pretty gnarly. So I'm really trying my best to make sure that it's really well worth it for him. And yeah, for sure to win one of those in my birthday month here is going to be the requirement of a screenshot of. To even enter to win one of them, you're gonna have to take a screenshot of your list of items that you've imported in FPV Exchange, which is gonna take you like 4 whole minutes. Like, I don't feel bad making you guys do this because when I did it, I was like, oh my god, that's really handy and really easy. Because like from that point on, like when I have these like wacky motors sitting here and I'm like, shit, where did I buy these from? I can either go to every single FPV reseller and search for them, or I can just go to FPV Exchange and search for them there and they come up like this. And then like there'll be times where I'm like, I think I remember buying a Diversity Crossfire Nano, and I'll look around for 2 hours. No. You go to FPV Exchange, you look at your list of everything you've ever bought from every single vendor, and if it's not in there, you don't look for the damn thing for 2 hours in your horrendous mess of a workshop because I know that you're not clean like me. And I'm not really all that clean. Yeah, it's so easy to use, and like I have no problem forcing you guys to go on there and import your stuff because it's just easy and really helpful, and yeah. So That's going to be one of the requirements, is a screenshot of your list of stuff with your name or whatever. And I want to see like a couple of those switches. If we all sell shit on there, then we will all start trading gear back and forth. And I know that you've got a couple things sitting around that you don't want or need anymore. Get them out. Get them out of there. I know it's a pain in the ass to sell stuff. I have a pile of shit under this desk here that's not FPV related that I need to put up on Facebook Marketplace that I haven't put up on Facebook Marketplace because I'm a lazy bastard. Yeah, Nevin's website makes it way too easy to sell stuff, and I'm going to browbeat you guys into doing it, whether you like it or not. Where are we at here? Bob Knox just says, off to dinner later. Chat will be hitting up later on Fiverr for sure. Sounds good, Bob. BH says, just joined your Patreon. Got a question on the Discord. Don't want to be annoying and repost it here. Repost it here, BH. I want to answer it here. Let me fire up my email so I can give shout outs to the folks that are joining the Patreon page. Shy Kameen joined the Patreon. Welcome to the collective, Shy. Oh, Max Beamer posted on his Patreon. Very cool. Also, for the record, guys, just like in general, support people on Patreon. Like, I didn't really know about Patreon until the chat here told me, like, yo, you need to set up a Patreon. After, like, a couple months of streaming, chat was like, hey, we want to support you. Like, you should set up a Patreon. And I was like, what's that? And I found some really cool people doing some really cool shit over on Patreon. I spend between, like, $80 and $100 per month in subscriptions to other people on Patreon just to kind of support them and spread the love around. And I love it. Like, it's a very unique kind of spot where people can support themselves and do more cool shit. So yeah, look for other cool people on there. Joshua's on there, UAV Tech is on there, My On High is on. I mean, most people that are doing this for a living are on there. And it's just a couple bucks. Like, I choose to support for, you know, 10 and 20 bucks for some of these people. But you don't have to. Like, usually, most folks will have like a $1 or $2 or $3 or $4 tier. Yeah, do a few of them. You'll be supporting other human beings in the world. And A, it feels good. B, you get like super cool updates from those people. C, if you don't do it, I'm going to hit you with a metal folding chair. So, you know, your choice. BH has just made in both of my Rampage builds this weekend. We talked about the Stan FPV 2604 motors a few weeks ago. So far, no desyncs with that. 10 packs, even on the defaults. Nice. That is good to hear. I feel like I've only ever heard like 1 or 2 people have that experience with those motors. Those motors have been really rough. BH says, RPM filtering 1.6, 1.6, any higher I was getting vibrations. Feed forward down, PD balance default, turned up P and D, gained to 1.7. Jesus, that's a lot. I-term relaxed to 10, thrust linear 25. That's also a lot of thrust linear. Added some throttle expo. Seems to be flying great so far. Just a bit of bounce back on really quick front and backflips. Any suggestions? So I would bring that thrust linear down. If you're on a BL Heli 32 ESC, update it to 32.8. And you can put low and high PWM, which works really well. Low and high PWM, low of 24, high of 48, and then you can bring that thrust linear down to like 5. 25 thrust linear is really aggressive, and what you're gonna find is that at 0 throttle you have a shitload of pit authority. So like when you go upside down and stuff like that, it's gonna really be trying to pull you back down because the PIDs are gonna be really jamming at 0 throttle. So I really prefer as low of a thrust linear value as possible. In terms of bounce back on front and back flips, basically what you got going on there is that the sliders, and just Betaflight in general, is designed for race rigs. Race rigs do not have a lot of weight spread out on the pitch axis. Freestyle rigs do. So with a freestyle rig, on the roll axis, all you're moving is basically the weight of the motors, right? But on the pitch axis, you're moving the weight of the GoPro mainly, and the battery, which are all spread on this long axis. So you need a lot more authority, you need a lot more power, you need a lot more PID gain on the pitch axis than the roll axis. It's one of the reasons that I no longer use the sliders, is because at the moment the sliders don't allow you to do that. So basically it sounds like you have the sliders where you want them. Now you can just go into your pitch P and D gains and just crank them up by 5. Just move them both up by 5. So pitch P gain, move it up by 5. Pitch D max, move that up by 5. Pitch D min, move that up by 3. All right? That'll take care of a little bit of it, but probably not all of it. Then if you still have a little bit more, Sub Bunny, yeah, Bot Grinder is also on Patreon. There's so many cool people on Patreon. There's no way for me to name them all. If it still doesn't kill all the bounce back, do that cycle again. 5 more on pitch P, 5 more on pitch D max, 3 more on pitch D min, and that should get it out. Basically, you just don't have enough PID gain on the pitch axis compared to the roll axis. And yeah, you should be good to go. I have to do that on pretty much all my rigs. Jack Lanois used RC and Power Smooks 2306.6 motors on his glide build and couldn't get it tuned. Changed the ramp up power in the ESC from 50% to 6% and finally got a solid tune. Jack, when you say you couldn't get it tuned, what does that mean? He says, I also have my ESC on 48K low PWM and 96 high PWM. Have you tried messing with ramp up power on some builds? I have not, Jack. I've talked with Ryan Harrell, who is like the absolute mega guru of motors and ESCs. He runs the website Mini Quad Test Bench. And he basically explains that, like, if you don't have to mess with ramp up power, don't. Like, the default value is kind of where you want to be. If you have a really unruly build, then you can use ramp up power as like a gigantic hammer. Like PID tuning and filter tuning, like that's a scalpel. Like you can make small, precise adjustments with that. Ramp up power is hitting the issue with a big ass hammer. And it can really cause some problems. Going up on the ramp up power can create a lot of motor heat, and it can basically reduce your tuning window a little bit. Going down on ramp up power does the complete opposite. It reduces power, it reduces motor heat, but it adds some sort of sloppiness in a weird way. It removes, so the PIDs are time based. Ramp up power is power based. So you're going to reducing the ramp up power, you reduce the amount of power that the PID loop is able to access in a way. You can also do that with motor limiting, but motor limiting also affects the maximum RPM that you're going to be able to get. So that functions a little bit differently. But yeah, so like by going up from 50% to 60% on the ramp up power, you basically gave the PID loop access to more power. You can do a similar thing by raising the PID gains, which it doesn't give it more raw power because it usually doesn't need more raw power, especially on 2306.6. That is a motor that has plenty of power. You would probably be better served from a tuning perspective raising the P and D gains, which is going to basically attack the error earlier and sooner rather than attacking it with more horsepower. So yeah, there's Remy Tim dropping a bunch of other awesome people that are on Patreon. And then BH, you are certainly welcome. So let's talk. Jack's getting back to me. He says, I couldn't get it tuned, as in messing with PIDs for a few hours using different people's strategies with no success in removing bounce back. Yeah, I mean, using other people's strategies is tough. PID tuning to be like, yeah. PID tuning can be very difficult. I'm actually pretty shocked, though, that's a pretty standard sort of motor. The stock tune should have been pretty damn good, and then Dropping your iTerm relax down to a value of 10 should get rid of most of the bounce back, definitely on the roll axis. And then for the little bit of extra pitch bounce back that you usually get since we're on freestyle rigs, typically you can just add like 10 points of, oh, look at that. Kevin Cortez says, ugh, this is so dumb, don't listen. Interesting. Kevin, let us know what's so dumb and why we shouldn't listen. You sound like you're a professional, so I guess you've been doing this for longer than me, or just are smarter than me. Tell us, let us know what your background is, and school us, and yeah, let everybody know what I'm wrong about. Jack says, you name a setting to mess with, I probably mess with it. One of the other things, no, I'm not gonna ban him. If I'm wrong, I want to know that I'm wrong. He sounds like he's a smarter guy than me, and I welcome that. Let's come on, let's do it, Kevin. Bring the knowledge, brother. Bring the knowledge. We need it. We love it. That's the collective. This is the collective, man. This is how it works. Jack, one of the other things that can happen is once you start really screwing around with a lot of different settings, you can kind of get your tune to a point where like I've had the best luck in the last 4 years keeping it as simple as possible. The stock tune is a really good baseline, and then like if you just bump things up from there a little bit, like an extra 5 or 10 points of P gain, about the same D gain, about half as much extra D min, and then a little bit of massaging to the filters. That really, and I mean, I can say this because you're on 2306.6 motors, which are a really powerful motor. Frank says you missed his first comment, which is gay. Okay, gotcha. So, see you later, Kevin. Hide user from this channel. There you go. Kevin can no longer see my channel at all. BH says, damn, Kevin got called out. Quad envy is real. I wish that that he hadn't posted gay. I mean, I would love to. Yeah, if you're smarter than me, bring it, man. Let's. I want to be smarter. So, you know, you don't have to be an asshole about it. But I realize that some people are assholes, and you know they can't help it. That's fine. Hey, in 5 minutes, we're going to swap over to our daily Patreon stream where we're going to do some Velocidrone lead follow practice. If you'd like to join in on that and you're not on my Patreon yet, if you're on my Patreon, you would have already gotten an email about it, you would have already gotten a Discord notification about it, and you would have already seen it in our Facebook private super crazy group. If you're not on my Patreon yet, CiottiFPV.com has a link to it. It's going to cost you $3 whole a month. That is 10 cents a day. I stream every single day for 1 to 2 to 3 hours for my Patreons. If that's not worth 10 cents, I don't know what is. So yeah, in a couple moments, I am going to go a little bit long though, because we're going to talk about this build, the build planning. This is going to be the build that I give away when I hit 200 patrons, and I am at like 193 now. Johannes Bergquist, I believe, just put me up to 194, so we're going to get there soon. Oh my god. So this is the FPV cycle build with a whole bunch of FPV cycle parts, but not all FPV cycle parts. It's going to have a T-Motor Pacer P50A 50 amp ESC in it. It is going to have Velox Veloce 2206.5 1750 kV motors. It is gonna have a I'm not totally sure on the VTX yet. It's either gonna have this Xylo VTX or no, yeah, it is gonna have this Xylo VTX. It's gonna be on this. I really want to. This is a Ryan Harrell design. I would really rather keep this frame, to be honest, but I really love you guys. I am going to fly this. This is how I'm going to justify it. I am going to fly this before I give this away. So, fair warning, it's going to be a little bit, it's going to have some scrapes and some digs in it probably because I just crash constantly. But It won't be it won't be obliterated or anything. But yeah, I do want to fly this before I give it away. But that'll be good because I can lock the tune in. Yeah, so this is the QAV-S, QAV Sensei Lumineer FPV Crate Get FPV frame that it's going to be on. And then it is going to be a Pacer F7 flight controller to go with the Pacer ESC. And then it's going to be on a Caddx Ratel 2 micro camera. And I never know what to do about the receiver because, like, maybe I just won't... yeah, I mean, I'm not going to put a receiver in it. Maybe, yeah, I guess I'm not going to fly it. I will put my tune on it, and then whoever wins it, if that tune doesn't work properly, I will work with you as if you'd bought my Fiverr tuning session. Oh, and hey, look, there's even TPU. Yeah, I'll work with you to get the tune right, but the tune's going to be fine. Every single frame that has come out in the last year is solid enough, and my like preferred tune is not like a crazy tune, because crazy tunes you can't beat the quads to death on, and I beat quads to death. So yeah, I think there's a lot of value in having a tune that's kind of realistic and not like on the bleeding edge. So yeah, that's gonna be the 200 patron giveaway rig. And so there's your build planning. I now didn't lie in the title of this stream. So it is 4 o'clock. That is going to wrap up my daily public stream. I am now going to swap over to the unlisted Patreon stream. Patrons, can't wait to see you guys over there. I'll see you in a few minutes. We're going to do some Velocidrone lead follow practice. If you're not on my Patreon and you don't know what the hell Velocidrone lead follow practice is, look at my public stream from 1 week ago, Sunday of last week, or last weekend. It's way more fun than you would think, and you can join the party for just $3. See you guys in a minute. Wait, hold on. Wait, I'm not ready. Here's some flying.